So it was in 2006. Just received my bachelor's degree in political science from the Department of Middle East Technical University in Ankara. Just returned to my hometown, Aintab, today known as Gaziantep. So we are going to get back to this notion of Gazi, the prefix of Gazi, later on if we have time. So, poor graduate student, jobless, just being home and chilling out, trying to stand the horrible hot weather in Aintab. All of a sudden, I just received a phone call from a friend of mine whom I hadn't seen for a long time. She said, "Oh, you came back, congratulations, you graduated, let's meet up. I miss you." I said, "Okay, let's meet up." She said, "Take the bus, get off the Kayacık Mahallesi, Kayacık Street, Kayacık neighborhood, and then find out the Papyrus Cafe, Papyrus coffee shop, coffee house." I said, "Okay." I took the bus. By the way, I had no idea, no notion of the notion of Kayacık neighborhood. I didn't know where it was located. So I asked the bus driver and so forth. I got off the bus. I was just standing right in front of the entrance of the Kayacık neighborhood, Kayacık Mahallesi. And there was a large entrance and the door and the gate. And on top of the gate, it was written, "Kayacık'a hoş geldiniz." In Armenian, in Turkish and in English, "Welcome to Kayacık." And then I just got into the streets. And there were very narrow streets, and I was really, really struck. And I thought I was in a very different universe by seeing all these beautifully constructed, built houses. They were like old mansions, actually. And I was really amazed. And I said to myself, I mean, it was impossible that Aintabsis just wheeled up. I mean, I'm talking Aintabsis which refer to local Muslims, Turkish Muslim population in the community. I said it was impossible they were that competent to build up such kind of beautiful houses. And then I totally lost my mind. I forgot my meeting with the friend, and then I just start getting around the old houses, all, you know, mansions-like houses. And then these houses, I saw that coffee shop, this coffee shop, that boutique hotel, this boutique hotel, and etc. So I had thousands of questions in mind. And then eventually I found Papyrus Cafe. And in Papyrus Cafe, there was now a door. And then it was beautifully embellished. And I was again amazed. And I just picked my head up. And I saw certain letters on top of the house, like in the ceiling. And I thought these letters might be either Ottoman Turkish or Arabic. Because my his consciousness of history, if only could go back that far. So I didn't think about the presence of Armenians, presence of Greeks, presence of Jewish population in my hometown. And then I got into the house. I just saw my friend. And when I saw the house, when I entered into the house, I was just, again, amazed. I was so beautiful. It carried every single feature of a traditional Armenian house, which in the hindsight, of course, I learned all this information. So I had some conversation with my friend, and then I just begged her pardon, and I just took permission from the owner of the coffee house to get around, to wander around the whole house. He said, "Okay." So the houses, I mean, they had two large halls. One was for the, you know, guests. One was for the daily activities of the family members, as far as I'm concerned. And then I took one step, and I went up, and there was a hall which went through a very big hall. And I opened that door, and what I saw in the ceiling, some iconics, some inscriptions and photos, images, actually, which were related to New Testament, some Christian iconography. And I was shocked. So I just went down. I went to the owner of the coffee house, and I was gregarious enough to ask the question, So it's a very nice place, congratulations. Of course, I didn't say that. I used my very Aintab accent to say that Allah tadını aldırsın. Let God, let God, you enjoy your property. I said, how did you get it? He said, it was from my grandfather. And I said, he must be a smart guy. He said, yes. And then I asked another question, but I saw in the big hall some images, photos, and which remind me of the Christianity. He said, maybe there was someone else, there may be someone else living in this house before. All of a sudden, he kept silent. The conversation was cut down. And he didn't say anything. He was just speechless. And I asked him again, so who was there before? And just after 2 seconds, 3 seconds, he said, there were Armenians here. Literally mumbling. Burada Ermeniler varmış. I said, I can hear you. Please just speak louder. There were Armenians here. I said, uncle, I couldn't hear you. He said, there were Armenians here, Babam. What do you want? What would you expect me to say more? And of course, everybody heard within the coffee house who were enjoying their tea and coffee shops. And I said, where were they? He said, they all gone. I said, so they all gone? And then they left this house to your grandfather. It was the whole story. He didn't say anything. So it was the point where I met my Armenian problem, my Armenian question, which means my ignorance regarding the presence of Armenians in my hometown and ignorance of an educated people, let alone ignorance of, less educated people or uneducated people. And afterwards, I decided to study on this particular topic, on Armenian genocide. I read every single book from the Turkish side, Armenian side, English books, Turkish books on Armenian genocide. And I decided to study on the history of my hometown in order to, destroy my own ignorance. And I decided to learn Armenian. And I decided to learn the history of my Degatsiner from their own literature, from their own books, from their own writings. So now, after 6 years, I started my Ph.D. in 2010. And within these 6 years, I did my best to improve my Armenian language skills. And I did just read the literature on Armenian genocide, stating the existing state of art, and so on and so forth. Now, I am still traveling, getting around Aintab neighborhood. But when I get into Aintab neighborhood, Haytağı, Kayacık, Bey Mahallesi, I see not that coffee house, or this coffee house. I see the house of Barsumyans, the house of Cebecians, the house of Karamanukyans, the house of Babikyans, the house of Aşçıyans. That's why the Armenian neighborhood, the Aintab, is going to stay Aintab with me, not as Gaziantep. Thank you so much for your patience.